please make her feel super fucking welcome, Janice in the city.
So I know I'm tall. I'm really awkwardly, amazingly tall. I've been taller than everyone else all of my life. I've been 6'4" since I was 13 years old. This means I've grown quite accustomed to everything that comes with that. So when I walk down the street, I get lots of comments. My favorite is usually from someone in the Tenderloin going, "Damn, bitch, you're tall," or "Can I climb me that mountain?" I get those a lot. Or, just things like buying shoes I have to do online. They don't make them in my size. Things like that. But what I never imagined was that being tall would mean that someday Legos would be a part of my sex life. But I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. So growing up in a small farming community in southern Missouri near the Arkansas border meant that anybody who was different was an outsider. And being 6'4", among many other things that made me an outsider, meant that I was called names and I definitely wasn't accepted. I was called Sasquatch and Bigfoot. I was made to feel like a monster most of the time. And at 17, all I really wanted was to be a pretty girl. And even when I was included, I was a jock or one of the guys. And I knew I wanted out. I was applying for colleges. I was doing what I could to get out. So when my mom brought home my first computer, and it came, I'm hoping the audience is the right age here. I think it is. When it came with that CD that said AOL on it, I dove right into those chat rooms. If you're here and you don't know what a chat room is, in the interest of time, turn to the person next to you and ask them. So I spent most of my time in 20-something singles. I was 17. City folk. I had never been outside of Arkansas or southern Missouri. And I found a home in tall people. And in tall people, and I enjoyed flirting with lots of people. That was great. But in tall people is where I met Manuel. Manuel and I started talking and chatting, and we exchanged pictures and very quickly moved to the phone. And Manuel was fantastic. First of all, he was 6'3". From his pictures, he was the typical tall, dark, and handsome, but not too skinny, so he didn't make me feel huge. He had an incredible singing voice. He actually had a part-time gig as an Elvis impersonator, which was important because at that point in my household, Elvis was one of the only artists that wasn't gospel or country that I was actually encouraged to listen to. And he loved tall women, which was great. But most importantly, Manuel was the first male ever to tell me I was beautiful. And I fell head over heels for Manuel. So we very quickly arranged for him. Manuel lived in Richmond, Virginia. And we very quickly arranged for him to come visit me. And there were no real airports near my town. So he flew into Memphis, which also happens to be the home of Graceland, where the king lived, which was convenient for Manuel. So this was about a 5-hour drive, and my mom, knowing that this wasn't going to be a discussion, drove me down there, or I drove, she sat. And we went to the airport, and we were waiting at the gate, because you could do that then. And I saw him come off the plane, and I immediately recognized him. That's my Manuel. Except he was a little bit shorter, and he had a little bit more of a bouffant than I really expected, and he was a whole lot bigger than I thought. And I thought, oh my God, I'm in love with an obese Hispanic Elvis impersonator. But he's my obese Hispanic Elvis impersonator. And so we took Manuel home to southern Missouri, and we had this great few days, of a date, and we did all these really cutesy little things. We were both totally broke. And we went to this amusement park, and they played this Disney song, it was some I don't know, they were playing like the Sleeping Beauty theme song, and we like waltzed to it. Like, it was totally cute. Like, we danced in the middle of this total crowd, and I was 17. Like, I thought this was like rom-com stuff. And I just fell. And so over the next couple of months, we had 3 or 4 visits that were fantastic. And about our 5th visit, he told me he wanted to marry me. And in the next sentence said that he wanted to make love to me. And I was a good little Christian girl. I was saving myself for marriage. So I called my mom and asked her if that was okay. So after Mama said yes, I got down on my knees by the bedside at the Baymont Inn and Suites of Springfield, Missouri. And I said to God, you know, if this isn't right, give me a sign. And when nothing happened, I said, sure, let's go for it. And much like many of you women out there, I'm sure, my first time was neither satisfying nor memorable. In fact, none of my relationship with Manuel was satisfying. We were together 10 months and I didn't orgasm once, just a note. And I was too young to know that that didn't matter, or that that did matter at the time. But so a few bumps and grunts later, like, we finished, and we continued along that method for a few trips. But I noticed each time, like, he was starting to look away a little bit more. He was becoming more distant. It was taking him longer to come. And so at some point I asked him, I said, you know, I feel like you're not into me. What am I doing wrong? Like, teach me. You know, he's 24, by the way. I'm 17. Teach me. So he tells me he has a fetish. He tells me that a true fetish is when somebody can't actually come unless they're participating in or thinking about the object of their fetish. And he tells me that his fetish is something called a giantist fetish. After he tells me a little bit about it, I'm thinking, oh my God, this is amazing. There's a community of like 1,000 men out there who like tall women. This is awesome. But then I learn a little more. So a basic giantess is, you know, you're like Attack of the 50-Foot Woman, or you guys remember the premiere, like the intro to Suddenly Susan with Brooke Shields, where she's kind of walking around and peering into the buildings? That was actually a giantess fetishist, and he's like a total hero in the community for getting that up on primetime TV. It's a big deal. So that's like your normal giantess, but then there's your mega giantess. And a mega giantess can be any size above that, and she usually like stomps on cities, and like she can crush anything. Manuel's particular thing was that he was really into mega giantesses, but he wanted to control them, not be crushed by them. And so he introduced this to me by introducing me to Janice in the City. Janice in the City was the first real giantess story that was published on the internet. So it was really widely distributed back in the dial-up days. And Janice was this beautiful California girl who was out swimming in the water when an earthquake happened, and these vapors came up, and they changed her and transformed her into an 800-foot tall woman. And she starts walking around, and because it's written by a man, all of a sudden she gets really horny and wants to fuck everything in sight. And so she like starts grabbing skyscrapers and like putting them up her vagina, and like it goes into great detail about all of the people who die a death based on her like cervical muscles. And then she like eats them, and like it's this amazingly sexy story if you get over the patriarchal society within it. But so after a while, reading the story wasn't enough. So Manuel requested that I buy some 6-inch heels. For reference, these are 4-inch. I don't own 6-inch heels anymore because I can't walk in them. I was 17. And he would have me stand naked and read the story to him. Awesome. There were many other stories too. Janice goes and gets her friend Pam and takes her into the vapors, and they like have fun with the buildings and whatnot together, right? So at one point I go to visit Manuel in Richmond, and I get there and I notice that he has set up this elaborate Lego city. And there are Hot Wheel cars lining the streets. And he asks me to tell him my own version of the story. And so at first, I'm kind of, shy about it, and I walk around trying not to step on anything, but I'm pretty klutzy myself, and I kind of step on something, and then I get kind of into it, because, my man is sitting there on the bed, and he's watching me. So I step on a car by accident at first and probably, trip and almost fall. And then I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm stepping on that car. And then I'm like, yeah, I'm going to put my heel through that house. Yeah, you want me to do that? And then he's like, pick up a building. And so I reach down, I pick up this skyscraper, and I hold it, this Lego skyscraper. I tell him what I'm going to do with it. And he's totally into it, and I'm so excited. I'm watching him, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm getting my man off finally. This is awesome. And I'm freaking horny because he's all into it, right? And then he comes and goes to sleep. And, I'm 17. I'm not very good with my hands yet. And I kind of look down at this pointy skyscraper Lego thing, and I decide to put it down and go to bed frustrated. I'm really enjoying the power of watching him like this, but I wake up in the morning and I realize that Manuel was watching my shoes. And he was watching the Legos, and he was watching my muscles, but he wasn't ever watching me. And this starts to sink in. But we have another trip coming up. Christmas is coming. And he's supposed to fly in on Christmas Eve, and we're going to spend it in Memphis. And I totally know I'm going overtime. I'm sorry, guys. There's a blizzard. It's a 5-hour drive to Memphis, and everybody tells me not to drive down there. And I'm headstrong. It doesn't matter what my parents say. I drive anyway. It takes me 10 hours to get to Memphis. I get to the airport wearing an entirely inappropriate black napkin thing and my 6-inch heels, and I go wait at the gate for my boyfriend. After having spent all of my savings from a part-time job to buy him this $200 collectible Elvis ornament, stupid thing that he really wanted. And he doesn't get off the plane. His flight comes, and he doesn't get off. And so I go talk to the gate agent, and she says he never boarded. And so I go to the payphone, and I call him, and he answers in Richmond, Virginia, and he says, oh, my flight was canceled. And I'm like, no, your flight just came in. So there's a little bit of an argument, but I get a hotel for the night. He comes in the next day, and he's really excited to give me my Christmas presents, and I'm so excited to give him his. And he has 3, and I'm feeling really inadequate because I only have 1 present for him. So he gives me the first present, and it's a pair of 6-inch heels. And I'm like, oh, there's a pair of 6-inch heels right there that I can't walk in. Great. And then he gives me the second present, and it's a WNBA Barbie, which is particularly apt because I've just turned down a whole bunch of college scholarships because I decided that I didn't want to play basketball professionally. And then I decide I'm going to give him my present because I'm really excited about it. So I give him this Elvis thing, and he's super excited, but also had expected it. And he's like, thank you, that's great, blah, blah, blah. And gives me my last present, which he's super excited about and says that will give us lots of fun together. And it's a pair of weightlifting gloves so that we can work out together so that I can become a bodybuilder. And it just really sinks in. And over the next couple of days, I just realized that I am not beautiful to him. I am the closest thing that he'll ever get to a giantess. I'm happy to say that I was smart enough to realize that sooner rather than later, and I got out of that relationship within the next month. And I'm super happy being 6'4" now. But for the record, it's been 15 years since Manuel, and all of my best orgasms have come from men shorter than me who didn't give a damn how tall I was. Thank you.